Hello, it's Corey, and welcome to another Tale from the Trenches, real stories from the life of a mobile home park owner. All right, so today I'm going to do part two of the tale of unit number 9. In part one, I'm going to do a super fast recap here where I share a window, and it's going to be this window. In part one, there was an awful home and an awful tenant. We got them out. We dealt with this. And we turned it into this. A beautiful new home with a beautiful new lawn, beautiful inside. And we thought we were going to be hunky-dory and live happily ever after. We sold the home to a sweet little old lady. Oops, now we're back to that. We sold the home to a sweet little old lady who had recently been divorced. Her and her husband sold their full size 400 and some odd 4,000 some odd square foot home, and she bought this home to just move into on her own. I thought she was the ideal tenant. She had income. She seemed really nice, and everything went fine for a while until eventually one time the rent didn't show up, and that was weird. So I reached out to her. Or I reached out to my property manager rather to reach out to her. And it turned out she didn't pay the rent because she had been arrested for drunk driving. What the heck, sweet little old lady? Why are you driving and drinking? Don't do that. But she did manage to contact us from where she was locked up. It must have been a bad one because she was actually in jail for it. And she had a nice family, and her sisters. We worked with her, and she was communicative, and so her sisters managed to step up and help her with the rent until she got out. And so then everything was good until a couple months later, the rent didn't show up again. Same thing, locked up, drunk driving again. And this time it took a little longer, but she found I don't think her sisters must have said sorry, tough love. She found somebody, I don't forget if it was a cousin or somebody who once again stepped in to help her out. She's in a tough predicament. We gave them some time, and they got it to us, and she got out. Okay, 2 times. She must have learned her lesson by now. Unfortunately, I think the lady had a problem. And the next time, no rent, and we cannot communicate with her. And then we find out that she's been locked up. This time, because it was the third time, she was locked up for a very long stint. I don't know. It was it was 6 months or a year or something. And so she wasn't going to be able to pay the rent. And her family, I think, had basically said, sorry, tough love, we're not going to help you this time. So she had no way to pay the rent. So that's interesting. So okay, so we're gonna have to go through. So we do the same thing. Well, no, in the meantime, the lady had been divorced from her husband. Apparently, there was a domestic abuse situation. And so she had a restraining order against him, which all says to me, this is not someone we want in the park. But with her in jail, he used the opportunity to reach back out to her, sad situation, and moved himself into the house while she wasn't there to help settle her affairs while she was in prison. So we are now dealing with this guy who's not even supposed to be in the park. Weird situation. So what do? We tell him, like, we're sorry, you're not an authorized resident. You can't stay here. She hasn't paid the rent. So she can pay the rent and get it all the way caught up. But if she can't do that, then you have to go. And so he didn't think she could do that because she was several months behind at this point. So he actually ended up being okay to work with. So how do we solve it? We ended up doing what we did to the previous resident, which is offering them, hey, we'll forgive all of your back rent. And she had used financing to purchase the home. So I'm sure lost, she didn't pay all cash for it. But she had put a down payment down that she would lose. But we offered to forgive all of her back rent if they would leave and sign us over the title. Which they gratefully took us up on the offer for. I think we even paid a moving company to help move all of her stuff. College Hunks, I think it was called, moving company. to move all of their stuff. They had somewhere else they could go. So that's kind of how it got resolved. But I guess appearances can be deceiving. Don't drink and drive. And yeah, just if you have an issue, just always think about what the next step is to resolve the issue, and eventually you'll get there. So what became of this home at this point? I've now moved on in my mobile home park investing career, and I'm onto some other parks, and I don't want to have a whole bunch of my time sucked up with one unit. So I had a friend from work, and the unit needed more repairs now. She had lived in it. She had a bunch of cats who peed all over the nice carpet we put in there, so it was going to need new carpets, new pads, probably maybe even new plywood to get the cats. It was like it needed more work. So I had a friend who had from work who had gotten into actually mobile home flipping and had been doing fairly well at it. And so he had mentioned it to me. He actually around this time said, "Hey, by the way, do you have any homes that you're trying to get rid of?" I said, "Actually, I do. I've got this one, and I really don't want to." This was I skipped the tenant. She was actually the third tenant in this home. I was like, I really don't want to renovate this thing again. So I sold the home to him in its as-is condition for $3,500. He came in and did a fantastic job. All paint, trim, made the whole outside nice, completely gutted and remodeled the inside, stainless steel appliances. I mean, a very, very nice job on the home. And so he did it a lot of the labor himself. He put some sweat equity into it too, but I think he said he was all in for $15,000. Not bad. And then he sold it. He turned around and sold it for $35,000 cash. So good for him. He more than doubled his money in about a month and a half. So pretty cool. Pretty cool story there. And maybe another little niche that someone can get into if they're interested in mobile home parks but don't have the funds to get in yet. There's a way you can make some money. Especially if you're in a hot market. If you're somewhere that's not a hot market, they don't sell for that much. But if you're somewhere where it's a hot real estate market where housing values are high, these things can sell for a lot of money if you fix them up and make them nice. So that's the story of number 9, the unit that kept on giving. Hope you enjoyed that. A couple things to note. I'll do another video about the economics of this park, because I don't want to make it seem like this was these are all kind of negative stories, but even after all these, they were kind of fun puzzles to figure out too. Even though there were some unfortunate situations, but overall, you can always drill into these little problems and make it sound like something you wouldn't want to get into. But you can also drill into the good things about the parks, and they seem fantastic. And as the person who sold me this park said, it looks a lot better on a spreadsheet than in person, and that turned out to be true. So I'll do another video on that. Hope you have a great day. Cheers.